This is Michael Popok. We're 70 days from the inauguration, and Donald Trump's cheating and stealing has already started. Now he wants the senators who he swept into power to agree to go into immediate recess for at least 10 days to allow Donald Trump to appoint federal judges and cabinet position people and other federal officers without the need for Senate confirmation while they're in recess. It's called a recess appointment under the Constitution that will last almost 2 years without the need for confirmation or hearings or public scrutiny or the involvement of the Democrats. And he's making those three white guys running to be the Senate Majority Leader bend their knee and agree to do this. I'm going to break it all down. You're on the Legal AF YouTube channel in collaboration with the Midas Touch Network. Now, more than ever, since Tuesday, we need you here. We need you to subscribe. Hit the free subscribe button. Join us. Link arms. We're gonna march this thing forward, and Legal AF is going to help. I'm sitting at the intersection. I'm Michael Popok, and let me explain it all to you. So Donald, by the way, I don't know why Senator Cornyn, Senator Thune are running for this position. They are going to lose. I hate to give them a wake-up call, just like Donald Trump effectively fired Mike Pompeo and Nikki Haley without even offering them a job. He's basically fired Thune and Cornyn and it is giving the job to Rick Scott. How do I know? Because co-president Elon Musk has said that Rick Scott from Florida is his guy. And now, but Donald Trump, in order to get maximum leverage over these people, has said that anybody running for the Senate Majority Leader, the top position, when you have the majority, Cornyn, Thune, and Scott, have to immediately agree that Donald Trump is going to be able, under the Constitution, under Article 2, Section 2, Clause 3, the Recess Appointments Clause, to take a recess. It's like they're gonna go into session and then immediately go into a 10-day break. And the question is, how do the Democrats stop that procedurally? They're going to have to. They're going to have to figure it out between now and January 20th because they're going to have to filibuster or do something else because if they can't keep the majority from declaring a recess of the Senate and it goes longer than 10 days under recent Supreme Court precedent, then you're going to see Donald Trump appoint dozens and dozens and dozens of open vacancy federal judges if they haven't already been filled by the Biden administration in the waning days. I'll talk about that next. And other major federal positions, maybe even the cabinet positions of state, defense, treasury, commerce, attorney general, all being recess appointed, no confirmation, no hearing, no public scrutiny, no involvement of the Democrats, and it lasts 2 years until the end of the term. But they got to get the senators to go along with it. So that's why Donald Trump is tying this together. You know, it's like a hostage crisis. He's holding his support. Now, of course, Thune and Cornyn are asking, although it's like whistling past the graveyard, please, Trump, don't get involved with the race. It's not to your benefit. Whereas Musk is literally in the background, jumping up and down with his black on black MAGA hat saying, Rick Scott, Rick Scott. I mean, he's co-president. Of course, it's going to be Rick Scott. Then why wouldn't Donald Trump pick Rick Scott and Elon Musk get behind it? He's just a guy that ran a healthcare company and had to pay a $1.7 billion fine for Medicare fraud. Perfect guy to be the Senate Majority Leader in Rick Scott. Let's put that aside for a minute. What we're really watching, let's take the plane up just about 10,000 feet and look back down. Here's what's going to happen. It's a two-step process. Donald Trump wants the senators now that are in the minority, the Republican senators, because we haven't turned over the Congress yet, to try to block, slow walk, filibuster the remaining 100 or so judgeships that Joe Biden is yet to fill. We, on the other hand, progressives, free-thinking people, want Joe Biden to hurry the F up with the senators, led by Chuck Schumer, and get these confirmations done while they have the majority of the remaining trial court level federal judges and one remaining appellate court judge and anybody else that retires in the next 70 days. That's very, very important. So important that Donald Trump figured it out and said, no, don't let the Biden administration fill their judicial vacancies. They had almost 4 years. They didn't get to it. You know, we're trying to figure out our leadership. They're trying to fill positions. By the way, that's how it works. That's how Amy Coney Barrett became, in the last gasp of the Trump administration, became a Supreme Court justice. That's how That's how Merrick Garland got blocked when Obama was down to about 50 or 70 days. And they ended up appointing, I think it was either Gorsuch or Kavanaugh. Amy Coney Barrett, the waning days of the Trump administration, she gets in 38 days to go. That's how it works for both sides, but not for Donald Trump. So he wants the current Republican senators in the minority to agree to block and slow walk as much as they can the Democrats' last gasp efforts to get these judgeships filled. He then wants, when the new Senate turns over and comes in with him on January 20th, he wants them to go into immediate recess almost, because the recess, according to the United States Supreme Court ruling from 2014 under Obama, has to be about at least 10 days long. Obama got nailed because there was a 3-day recess, like a long 3-day weekend, and he decided to name people to the National Labor Relations Board. And they came back and said, all 9 of the justices at the time, 10 years ago, said, no, that's illegal. But they did also make it clear what the doctrine was or what the principle was, and that if the recess went at least 10 days, so that's been the new benchmark, get to 10 days. So that's where Trump is going to want them to call a recess like January 21st for 10 days. Let Trump fill whatever open vacancies there are left in the judiciary, because they blocked as much as they could Joe Biden. There might be a handful. And then also appoint all of his major cabinet positions without Senate confirmation. I can't repeat this more. That means no hearings. We don't get to see it. It's not on C-SPAN. Legal AF's not covering it. The Democrats have no role in it. There's no minority report. They could all be, for all we know, they could all be pedophiles, rapists, and sex abusers, and we wouldn't know about it because there'd be no due process that would allow us to see these things. I'm getting upset, as you can see, because you see where this is going, and I'm not making this too sensational. I'm reporting what's going to happen and what he's asking them to commit to doing. And Rick Scott has already, right on cue, because he was thrown the softball by Elon Musk, said, I'll definitely agree to a recess appointment. You need to be able to get started right away, sir. Okay. Now, how do you appoint normally when you don't do recess appointments to start your presidency? That's supposed to be for, like, if there's a recess down the road, you got an opening, you got to fill it. It's a long vacancy. That position's got to be filled. Then you fill it, and that person stays in that seat as an appointment, not confirmed by the Senate, as an appointed position, acting whatever, fill in the blank, because they're not confirmed. So acting attorney general, acting whatever, until the end of that Senate term. This Senate term is 2 years. So it would be 2 years if they recess right away immediately. Normally it happens later and it's somewhere less than that. That's recess appointment. Regular Senate confirmation, you put up your cabinet, you put up your federal officers, you put up the people that'll be the head of the Securities and Exchange Commission, the NLRB, the Treasury, whatever is open. Whatever that is doesn't have terms that extend beyond, the time that you come into office, you put these people up. They go through a confirmation process. They have some sort of somebody that shepherds them through the process, right? Somebody who's one of the confirmers, who does the background of the dossier. There's binders of information prepared. The minority gets it. The majority gets it. The press reports on it. There's actual public hearings over the person. We find out how good or bad or ugly they are. And then if we think they're really terrible, then the press and the media and hopefully the public come out and protest and change minds. That's what you're supposed to do. All right. And some people have made it through the confirmation process, judges, cabinet members, and others, all the way to the Supreme Court, and some haven't. And some haven't made it. They've had to be pulled. And if they get pulled, they're going to start all over again. That's what Donald Trump doesn't want to do, because this signals to me that he's trying to go way right out there extreme, shove it down our throat with recess appointments and deal with it in 2 years, right? 2 years, and when the midterms are coming up, right? He's got 2 years to try to get this done before he's lame duck if everything goes according to plan. Also supports my theory that he's only going to be a president for 2 years, and then he's going to decide to turn it over. And the plan has always been to turn it over to J.D. Vance in 2027, 2028, to allow him to get ready to run for the presidency and give Donald Trump, boom, a self-pardon or a pardon on the way out. That's my other backdrop working theory. How do we oppose this and stop it? And there'll be lawsuits off of this, by the way. And that's why hopefully you're here on Legal AF and take a moment, hit that subscribe button. He can't do it now. Right now, the Senate is controlled by the Democrats, who caucus with Joe Manchin from West Virginia and have the tiebreaker in Kamala Harris as the president of the Senate and the vice president. It's going to have to wait until January 20th, and we got some time. We're going to have to use every filibuster, another way to tie this up and stop them from calling a recess. And they're going to have to get with the parliamentarians and the procedural people and learn the rules and get the rules. Fortunately, Chuck Schumer, the current Senate Majority Leader, and others know the rules like the back of their hand. And Nancy Pelosi knows the rules like the back of her hand. So these legacy people are going to be strategizing. I'm sure they're in session right now about how to stop the call of the recess. And even shorten it. Now, look, there's also lawsuits that would have to be filed and could be filed. And they'll be filed by public interest groups and other groups. Even the Senate Democrats will file in court asking this ultimately an emergency application to a judge right here in the District of Columbia, or all the way up to the Supreme Court with emergency application. And ultimately, it has to get to the Supreme Court. It'll tie things up. And the question on an emergency application is, can Donald Trump do that? Was the intent and purpose and spirit of that particular provision of the Constitution, Article 2, Section 2, Clause 3, to allow an incoming president, even if he's got all the numbers, to call an immediate recess and try to get his entirety of his cabinet and federal officers pushed through so they don't stand for confirmation process, which the Senate has an obligation to do under the Constitution for 2 years. I think even this MAGA Supreme Court is going to have a hard time saying, yeah, that's normal. No, because nobody's ever done it. Even Ronald Reagan, who came in with a much bigger mandate, he had a 500 plus electoral votes when he came in. He only lost Minnesota and came in with the Senate and the House. They never did this. And so it's against the tradition of the Senate, but more importantly, I think it's against what's allowed under the Constitution, the separation of powers, the role of the Senate in its constitutional powers, its Article 1 powers, to confirm. If you could do that, everybody would do that. Everybody would just take the first 2 years, recess. Day 1, 10 days off, see everybody going fishing, see everybody later. And then all these people get confirmed. Oh, how did that happen? And then 2 years from now, we deal with it. I just think that the Supreme Court will ultimately reject that, but he'll try. And he's certainly making it a litmus test for the people that he wants to be the Senate Majority Leader. And again, I'll end the hot take how I started it. Thune and Cornyn, I don't know why you're running. Once you heard that Elon Musk is championing Rick Scott to be the Senate Majority Leader, it's done. It's baked. Game over. And then we'll have to see how the Democrats continue to fight back, grow some brass ones, fight back now to make sure they get all their judicial appointments filled, all the vacancies filled, and then be ready for the parliamentary battle of the century to avoid a recess and figure out ways to keep the Senate in session in the minority position without the ability to call the vote through other parliamentary tools and the ways to object and the power of an individual senator within the Senate. We'll follow it all. And I'm glad you're here. Legal AF, now more than ever, need your help. Help us grow the channel. I'm curating it. I'm coming to you every day, 5-6 times a day. In addition, I've got some great contributors here that are bringing on with me, some from the Midas Touch universe, some new people, all experts in their field, including about federal courts, including court accountability action. We've got some exclusive programming here. We've got unprecedented, a weekly show about the Supreme Court that I'm doing with Dina Dahl and other amazing stuff. Thank you for being here. I'm Michael Popok, and I am reporting. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories, the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.